Okay, so the time, well, 1 second. Test. Okay, we're good now. So welcome. The time is, we'll officially call it at 5:02. It's now 5:03. We will note that Miss Hill and Miss Russell are unable to be here with us today. Other than that, we have all of our other council members present. So we'll move on to item B, approval of the agenda. I do have one addition under new business. Item D, we'll just briefly talk about crossing guards. So we'll add that item. So with that addition, are there any, please take a moment and review, and then we'll take a motion and a second. Motion by Ms. Lane. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Gerken. Any discussion? All in favor of approving our agenda for tonight, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Awesome. The next item on our agenda is to review the minutes of the previous meeting. So you have those in your packets. They are 2 pages. So if you want to take a second to review, and then we'll take a motion to approve.
Make a motion.
Motion by Ms. Bowers. Is there a second? Second by Ms. A. All in favor of approving our minutes from the December 13th regular meeting, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving on to our next item, which is good news report. So since our last meeting, we had our PTA luncheon. We had El Toro. It was delicious. We had food left over for days. We also had our December buddy classrooms, where our kids get to go see other classrooms. 3rd grade went on a field trip to the Singletary Center. We had our winter parties. We had our Q2 house celebration, celebrating Altruismo, the Black House, for their win of Q2. We, of course, had winter break, which was not long enough. We had Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, and then we had a team of teachers that just got back yesterday from Kagan training. They were there, they left Thursday night and were there all weekend. So 4 days of Kagan training. They were super fun today because they were all exhausted being in training till 4 o'clock every day over that. Additionally, this month is School Board Appreciation Month. And I know you guys are not a school board, but you are our school board. So I just want to say thank you guys for your service and your time and your dedication. I had planned to write you all thank you notes, but that just didn't happen. So
We'll take the public thank you.
So thank you. If you would like, I can make you a snow cone in my office. We had snow cone treats today. So if you would like a snow cone, we could go and do that. So any other items to celebrate this month? Okay, moving on down. We don't have any public comments, so we'll skip over that. School improvement planning report. We're going to kind of talk today about some data around our performance over everything. We're currently in our monitoring phase of the CSIP, and we're going to be working on developing our professional development plan for the fall. I did just get the professional development plan from the district of kind of what they're looking at. this work calendar is different next year where teachers actually report a week earlier. So we're actually here that whole first week before school starts as well. Surprise.
Really, they're doing.
So yes, that is going to be on our work calendars coming up. And so I just literally about 20 minutes ago got no. So yeah, that we got like a rough idea of what it's going to look like, but I don't even understand it. So I have cadre tomorrow, so maybe we'll find out more tomorrow. But it was in Jan's not going to get off at all anymore. It's like August 1st or so. It's whatever that, I think it's that Monday.
You guys start the 16th.
Yes.
And so is it the 7th?
Yes. So I don't know for sure how that's going to work or what that's going to look like, but PD is becoming a lot more district structured. We will still have things that we choose to do here at school, but as a whole, it's going to be more systematic across all schools. So if you'd planned any vacations, that's what leave is for, I guess. So, okay, so we'll run into kind of our data to look at. So our first area here that we'll review is our map data from the winter. So we'll go through this and talk through everything, kind of how we're performing. So the first slide, so we'll talk about math first. So you can see here that in math, in the winter, we had 9% of our students below the 20th percentile. That's down from 11% in the fall. Then in 21 to 40, we've been maintaining at this 11 or 12%. We're now at 11 again. The 41 to 60 range, we've increased that range up to 12%. The 61 to 80, we are at 21%. And then the highest range, which is the 81 to 99, we are at 46% of our students are performing in that highest range. And that's been holding steady in that area. The next slide, I'm not going to spend much time. I just want to provide that for you so you get a snapshot of where each grade level stands. We'll kind of highlight that as we go through, but it's just important for us to be able to see all of it. So when we look at our grade level percentage below the 40th percentile, this is what we look at as kind of our marker of if what we're doing is working, are we decreasing these students that are needing support across the school. So anywhere in green was a reduction from the last time we took this test. So in math, kindergarten, second, third, fourth grade, all reduced their student scoring below the 40th percentile. First and fifth grade both increased theirs. But you can see as a school, we were 27% in the spring, then we're down to 23 in the fall. Now we're down to 20% of students. So 1 of every 5 students is still scoring below that 40th percentile range, but we are trending in the right direction. Yes. So doing good there. When we look at trends over time, our goal here is that these lines would all be going down. Because this is that trend of the 40th percentile. You can see, well, you can't really see it because it's cut off up there. Kindergarten's going down. That's this one. Everybody else's is over time has been slightly increasing. But that also takes into account some of the pandemic testing and pre-pandemic testing. And so next, when we compare our scores to national norms, you can see across every single grade level, we are outperforming the national norms. You can see kindergarten, they were 7.8 points above in the fall. They are now 14.4 above in the winter. So we saw a huge jump there, but everybody is still performing above that national average. Grade level strength and growth areas, kind of across the board, we're seeing operations and algebraic thinking as a strength area right now, but we're struggling kind of with measurement and data, which is normal for this time of year. We're getting ready to get ready. Yep. So we're getting ready to teach it. So we expect it to not be a growth area. The next area that we look at is the percent of students that are meeting their growth goal. So MAP sets a growth goal. If you meet that growth goal, your percentile stays the same. If you don't meet it, your percentile goes down. So Fayette County has set 50% as kind of the bare minimum. You're making appropriate growth at 50%. If 50% of our students are making growth, we're doing good. 60 and above is what's considered accelerated growth. So we are closing gaps with that. Kindergarten, 96% of the kindergarten students this year met their growth. That is a phenomenal score there. Everybody else is in the green with the exception of 5th grade at 42.
Yeah, I mean, the fall that they.
That's 4th grade.
Yes. 4th grade has small classes.
The winter scores are always, I mean, I'm not usually like those scores. are
Yes.
Amazing, but they walk in and they're like.
They're, the percentile for,
Yes,
Yeah.
the writ.
I mean, it's really high, like
Mhm.
71% are in 81.
Yes.
percentile, but, yeah.
Like they are really, I mean, they're doing a great job.
And then,
Just you pulling the scores up. So the next area we kind of look at is demographics, same scale. So in all of our demographics, except for Asian, we're in the accelerated growth range. Our Asian students, we have 3 of them. They're at 56.7.
I'm shocked that it's,
That actually identifies Asian.
because typically if it's less than 8, it won't.
MAP still will.
Map so well.
MAP will still pull it. So
Oh, yes, and did anybody see the article that map is being bought and
Mm.
purchased by? Mifflin?
Oh, that'll be fun.
Do we own any Hope Mifflin products?
We just.
I know.
It's the identification.
They put down.
Uh-huh. So when we look at our gaps, as a school, we've identified 3 key groups that are our gap groups. That's Hispanic students, active ELs, and free and reduced lunch students. Those are our 3 big gaps. And so you can see here in the spring, the gap between Hispanic students and the school average was 18.93%. In the fall, that jumped to 19%. In the winter, we came down to 16.5. So our gap is getting smaller for Hispanic. It's also getting smaller for our active EL population and for our free population. And then you can see here, we also run this report and look at each individual grade to see which grades are working to close those. Across all 6 grades, Hispanic students were closing the gap. Active ELs, kindergarten, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, we're actively closing that gap. And free and reduced lunch, kindergarten, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th are all actively closing the gaps. So just another tool that we're kind of looking
I
at
just think we need to
there.
look at historically the spring, I mean, not pandemic wise, I understand. But
Yes.
like, I mean, Dan, I've been moving forever. But anyway, it is sometimes
Yes.
a lot of this group picks up what they lose over the,
Mhm.
and we can only be responsible for the things that happen when we're here at school, but
Yes.
there is learning loss that happens between, and then they're here, then we're at
Yes.
school and consistent, and then we, I do think that that's definitely when we start to talk about summer ignite,
Mhm.
that this is where that needs to be.
Yes, and like so with Summer Ignite's going to look very different this year. Every school won't have Summer Ignite. There's going to be hub schools. So like my guess is the hub school here is going to be Julius Marks. That's just my guess. They're the closest one to us with the low. So we can send kids to Julius Marks and they would be bused there. And like we would send staff that could go work at Julius Marks if that's the site. But every school won't have a program. But we are looking at our ESS funds and specifically targeting these 3 groups. And the plan is to go to the apartment complexes and really get in and try and we're trying to find space at all the apartment complexes and find these kids that can't
And I'm
get
not
here.
saying it's school, I'm just saying some
Yes.
sort of academic experience over,
Yes.
because I think these kids, they tend to pick up, they pick up what they lose statistically and.
Mhm. Yeah.
They counted multiple times.
Yes.
Okay.
So like a lot of,
A lot of them might be off.
when we look at our active ELs, most of those students are Hispanic.
Okay.
When we look at, most of our Hispanic students are also in the free and reduced lunch range.
Do they not do that non-duplicated? gap
Not for
thing
this,
anymore?
that, yeah, it's, you now get counted in every single area, but it doesn't ding, like, we don't get dinged like you used
'Cause they
to.
used to, but you couldn't like,
Uh-huh.
same person couldn't.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, so if they are an active EL, there is a 95% chance they're in all three of these categories. When we look at that,
This is off topic. Do we,
Yep.
do we dare settle?
no,
How many people were you?
7,
I was like, I saw the number. And I was like,
Yep. 7 kids. So, yep, no Title I, we were 7 kids short. So,
Sorry about that.
yep, you were, it was gonna come up later, so you just gotta sit here. So when we look next at our quadrant, the bulk of our school, we are in high achievement, high growth. We have 51% of our students in that high achievement, high growth range. 62% had high growth overall. Now, we were lucky enough, the district has finally realized that we have rights to see other schools and see how other people are performing. So they've given us this information. This is a new slide that I just did today.
That's so nice of them to say that.
So this one's brand new. So you guys, teachers haven't seen this one yet. So this compares us to where the district is performing as a whole. So you can see in the Glendover mean writ, this is our average score. And then this is the district average score. Yes.
Sorry.
So you can see here that across every area, we are outperforming the district as a whole. Now, when we look at the percentage of students that are meeting their growth, you can see at every grade level, except for 5th grade, we outperformed the district. So at 5th grade, we've implemented and we have some support coming in just to help them work through planning and just be more efficient and more effective, because we have great things going on there, but just working with them through that. So, yeah.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Because this is Oliver.
Mhm.
He got a really high math score. And then his growth was 1,
Mhm,
whatever on the thing, because he actually went down like 1 point.
mhm.
You throw those numbers out for these calculations, because they should, because they haven't taught him geometry yet.
Yeah,
Like,
it's in this.
they should throw that out.
Yes, but we do look at that. Like as a school, we look like right now, the bulk of our students that aren't growing are those 99th percentiles.
okay.
Like, so that's what as a school, we're looking at
And
kind
part
of,
the problem is
how do
that
we
has
push
a
it?
Different scope and sequence than the district does.
Uh-huh.
So like what the things we're teaching are not necessarily, they're 2 separate people. Like they're
Yeah.
not,
Right. It's
they're not
like,
communicating
that's a
together.
Yes.
And
You are already higher to begin with. Statistically, you're not gonna grow every time and you might
No,
go
but-
back
so
because you're
you-
already high.
I think he scored 231,
Uh-huh.
and then he scored 229.
Yes.
back. And
Very
like,
typical.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so we,
I mean,
it,
because he shouldn't be in that, 'cause, like, he was telling us some of the questions that were asked, and I was like, well, that would be like high school.
uh-huh,
Yes,
yeah, and that's it. So like we have those conversations
And if
Okay.
he
and we
was
look at it.
teacher because he didn't grow, then you go straight to him.
Yes, but yes,
Totally, because
like-
I've done it 4 times for my own child.
Yeah.
That's not fair because
No.
he's already way above where he's.
and that's why we try and reward good faith effort and not growth.
Yeah.
So that we're focused on, did you try on this assessment? Because what it does is where you end in the fall, they take probably a 20 to 30 point jump for your first question on that winter test. So they jump you so high,
Mhm.
and it's like, I don't even know what those words just said. So yes, it's very normal, unfortunately, for our highest.
And sometimes that's the effect you
No.
see also in
Yeah.
kindergarten when their scores are so high because the expectation for them is not really as high. But then the instruction here tends to be above it and kindergarten always excels.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes.
so there's.
And remember,
There's
like, and then the other thing that throws in, that there's usually like a difference is the test is read to them.
Yeah, yeah,
Second, right? Or second?
just not, just K1.
That's why second
why you
dropped.
see
Second always drops in the fall.
Yeah.
Some first graders already begin to fall into the category
If
where
they're
it
high.
does, if they're high enough.
Yes.
So,
They have to read, like the
yes.
questions, they don't have like them.
Okay.
Like
I
if
got
they're
you.
so high, they bank out of the reading questions and
Yes.
they get like.
Oh,
a
that's good
full-
to know.
Yeah, so it will eventually bump them up out of reading, but not to the it's still not at the level of the second grade test. We've never been able to correlate to explicitly it's
curious.
this. There are some Ks
Yeah.
that would get it. Mhm.
And I'm wondering if they,
Yeah, there,
It's out like a second grade level.
yeah,
that's good to know though.
yeah. It, do-
Um,
you may have
you
one,
might have
because they look at them and like, it's not reading to me. Like, what is this? Yes. So next, so in the fall, we kind of mapped out, based on free and reduced lunch, special ed, EL, all of these demographics. We found 4 schools that were really closely comparative to us. They may not be the same population size, but they are 4 schools that have similar demographics to us across all settings. So that is Brenda Cowan, Garden Springs, Liberty, and Sandersville. Very different schools, very different. I mean, we pretty much covered the whole city of Lexington. So you can see here, if it's green, that means that school outperformed us in that area. So overall, proficient and distinguished projection, we are outperforming every one of those schools. Free and reduced lunch, we outperformed Brenda Cowan and Garden Springs. Special ed, we outperformed all of them. EL, the only school we outperformed was Garden Springs. Our African-American students, we outperformed everyone but Sandersville. And Hispanic, we outperformed Brenda Cowan and Garden Springs. With our math scores, percent proficient distinguished, we have a 6th ranking in Fayette County elementary schools. So of all the schools in Fayette County, we're currently number 6. There's 40 elementaries. So
I find it interesting
Always.
because our kids that are moving to Sandersville.
they
I
are.
don't know what that,
Sandersville and Garden Springs are two of the schools that our kids end up going to. They have similar neighborhoods to us.
What are the ones that are above us?
Rosa, Veterans, Stonewall is not above us in either one. Scapa does not count. They don't count in. Clays Mill. It is the state, like there weren't any that were like, huh, how did that school get up there? Like we,
Please no.
mhm.
And all the years I've been here, regardless of our population, we have always maintained being in, on state tests.
Yeah.
not
So-
never get a shout out. right?
Yeah.
No, but because we have high.
I'm also curious, like, how close we are to them.
Uh-huh.
Those, like,
Yeah.
I'm just-
And I can send,
Yeah,
I can
I'm
pull it
just-
and yeah,
I'm curious.
yeah, I can sit. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Like,
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
could you make that chart with like the number 5 and the number 4 school and see like where we're doing?
Mhm. Yeah.
Something like that.
yeah, I'm just curious.
So yeah, because yeah, I've got it for the whole district. So. Okay, so now for reading, same chart, same everything, 1 to 20, 12%, 21 to 49%, 41 to 60, 15, 61 to 80, 18, and 81 to 99 is 46%. Again, you have the whole big old chart of all the data. Next, when we look at the percent below the 40th percentile, kindergarten, 2nd, 4th, and 5th all reduce this down. And overall, we did reduce down to 21%. And then here, great news is we start to see some of these lines starting to go down. Kindergarten's going down, 1st grade's going down. So even though 1st grade went up, they're still trending down with everything. I think that's 5th grade is trending down. So there is progress. There's a lot of progress being made here. When we look at our national norms, again, we are outperforming national averages. So we just see a lot of big growth and improvements here. When we look at strength and growth areas across the board, it's a hot mess. Second, third, and fourth did really good in literature. Fifth grade then does really well in informational. So reading's harder to get a good, consistent thing because we're teaching it all at the same time. So when we look at percent meeting their growth, again, this is where 50% is our minimum, 60s accelerated. So kindergarten was at 92. Fourth grade was at 72 in the green. And then the other grades were above 50, but our overall average was 61.8.
At 60. Yeah, so-
And then when we look at demographics, demographics in reading, all the grade levels are accelerated, all the groups are accelerated with the exception of Hispanic, and that's still at normal growth. So here, when we look at gap groups, Hispanic is continuing to go down. We do have a few students that are Hispanic that aren't EL. So there are some students that have exited out or they're from the Hispanic population, but they don't speak any Spanish. Kindergarten and first grade both are closing that gap. Active EL and free and reduced lunch gap, that gap is bigger than it was in the fall. Active EL is still down from the spring of last year, but our free and reduced lunch one is still trending upwards. So the gap is getting a little bit wider in that area with reading. When we look at the quadrants, 50% of our students fall in that high achievement, high growth. And then here are the district comparisons. Those should not be, yes, those should be. So across everybody, we are exceeding the district average. So we are outperforming students across the whole district. For percent meeting growth, second and fifth grade is below the district at percent meeting growth. All the other grades are outperforming the district. And then when we compare those four schools, the only places that we were outperformed was EL students at Brenda Cowan and Hispanic students at Liberty. In reading, we are ranked 11th in the district. So there's a little difference there between our reading and our math scores. So any questions on our map data? Awesome. So the next area.
Taking it again next week.
Yeah, it feels like it. Feels like we just took it. We're taking it again. The next area that we have started doing as part of our CSIP, a big component of that is writing. So we did do before winter break, we did do a screener to see how the students would perform on this. So this assessment, the students were asked to, they were all given a topic. I don't remember what it was. Girl finds a toy in her backyard and but they have a minute to think and then 3 minutes to write as much as they can in those 3 minutes. So I don't know why this chart is looking all funky. Okay, so so you can see here in kindergarten, we look at 3 areas: total words written, how many words do they write in that 3 minutes? How many of those words do they spell correctly? And then how many of the words are in a correct writing sequence where the 2 words actually can work together?
Mhm.
So,
And no one got any accommodation or help at
yeah,
all.
no account. We wanted a straight, just baseline, see where are we at? And then we took the day we came back after winter break, we all scored these together so that it was interesting for some things, try to figure out, okay, what word is this? Does it actually make sense together? But you can see here, these are the goals. So if it's green in the average columns, that means on average, that grade is outperforming. So kindergarten and first grade, they are outperforming the expectations at the winter. Pretty much everybody else, with the exception of a little blip in third grade. So our third graders can spell words. They don't write enough, but they can spell. Everybody else isn't where we would want them to be right now. But this is just good baseline data for us. It's kind of, okay, here's where we go. We'll be doing this again in the spring to kind of look at, okay, are we making that progress throughout? And then it just says the percentage of students that met the score.
Is there any way we can make this tough things? Because we don't really assess them in writing that they don't type.
Eventually, yes, I think we could do it as a pair, kind of a combo-ish.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yes,
whether it's right or wrong, I'm not saying.
Right.
I mean, it was atrocious, but I'm just saying, like, you also need to.
Yes.
That's how they're,
yeah, I think it's a good thing to think about is how taking this into technology and looking at that as well.
well, I mean, the assessments, the writing assessment
Mhm.
is technology based. The whole
Yes.
test is technology based, so there is like.
So, yeah, I agree. But so we're gonna be looking at this in PLCs and kind of developing plans for individual teams.
I'm just tuned into everyone and their accommodations. And I'm like,
Is this shocking?
No.
no.
Okay, I didn't think so. Well, I was like, fourth grade, and then 43 words written, 41 spelled, like, and I was like, oh, I don't even know. if
Yeah.
My kids can do that.
Yeah, so like on average, like fourth grade wrote 35.2 words in
Okay.
3 minutes.
Okay.
That was kind of their average. Of those 35, 32 were spelled correctly. So they averaged 3 misspellings
Okay.
per, that's these columns here.
Like, they're like a grade level behind.
Yes. And the key with this specific assessment is if you don't write enough words, you can't pass the other two.
Right.
So the key, the big kicker is you got to be able to get enough thought from your head to the paper
Mhm.
in 3 minutes. If you can't do that, the other ones don't even matter. Because, and so that's where we're,
Yeah, are they doing that, like taking tests in all the subject, like, I guess I don't even know how Oliver's tested in his classroom,
mhm.
like, for social studies, do they normally write 40 words? Like,
And the
Probably-
kid.
if they, okay, I just
Yeah.
don't
It was also-
know.
I mean,
Or
it
is
was
it
also-
multiple choice? That's
It was
all-
also
that's all I'm
timed,
asking.
like it
Yeah.
was timed.
Right.
They got 1 minute to think and 3 minutes to write.
But I was
and
just
we're
thinking,
done.
like, if all the
Some of them
tests
still
had
like-
open writing
Uh-huh.
versus multiple choice, I mean, I
They
just
do,
don't know.
they do.
Okay.
Yeah.
At least in the fourth or fifth grade.
And that's something that as we work through this process, that may be something that, hey, we're discovering, hey, we need to give them more opportunities to write in different aspects to truly get up this
But
total
this
writing time.
writing is not really what you do on an assessment.
Yes.
This is
Right.
kind of free writing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we wouldn't be like, I mean, they would have a purpose. So I think that's where some kids are like, I don't know what to write, like, I
Uh-huh.
don't-
But I've also started.
Well,
finding
ask me a
about
question,
typing.
like,
And
Uh-huh.
yeah.
fifth grade, so it's at the
But this
beginning
is
of
also
fifth
more
grade when they
accurate of
take that.
how they're really
writing
writing.
test.
than
End
all
of fifth
yeah.
grade.
Yeah,
Yes.
So,
but there's nothing they take.
and
that's
it's
like
not
that.
creative, right? The prompt.
It is a prompt and a passage is responding to a text and responding to a
Okay.
question. They very rarely have to do truly the creative, kind of just bring it off the top of your head. So they used to be the world we lived in. It used to be write a narrative about this, like you randomly slipped and tripped, write a narrative, like, so, yeah.
Have some trauma from. Move on.
They've changed the state. Like the states they don't, writing portfolios aren't a thing anymore. On-demand writing.
Can't write.
Uh-huh.
You know,
But
all of
that's
those
not the
forms
kind of
of
writing
writing.
they
are
do.
They don't even write that
important.
way.
Writing.
Oh,
They're all important.
Yeah.
No creativity.
Yeah.
At all.
I think again, give it 10 years, we'll be on the other end of the pendulum again, so. Yeah.
we sit here,
Yeah.
figure out how to go the other.
They are from Ames Web. So, okay, so the next area real quick is Q2 behavioral data. So we'll roll through this. So here, this counts every kid who was ever enrolled here. So we do not have 463 kids here. But at some point, there have been 463 students that have walked through this building, not counting preschool. So 462 of those students have either 0 or 1 referral. One has between 2 and 5 referrals. So in the second quarter, we had 7 referrals. Okay, the whole quarter, 7 referrals. So we had none in kindergarten, none in first grade. We had 2 out of second grade, 1 out of third, 1 out of third, 3 out of fourth, and 1 out of fifth. That's where those referrals stand. So then you can see our top 3 issues. The number one in the second quarter was a fight student to student. Now, we're not talking knockdown, drag out high school fight. We're talking a shoving match or hitting. There was 2 for profanity or vulgarity, 1 for failure to follow staff instruction, and 1 fight student to staff. That just meant that a staff member had to go hands-on. Then you can see location. 4 of them started in the classroom, 2 started in the cafeteria, 1 started on the playground. When we look at our ODRs by the day of the week, ODR stands for Office Discipline Referral. I didn't say that. We had none on Mondays. Everybody's happy on Mondays. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, they start to fall apart. Thursdays, they're just done. So they don't do that much. And then Fridays, they amp back up because they're ready for the weekend. So when we look at time of day, the most significant time was 11 to 11:59. That is lunchtime or directly preceding lunch. 9 to 9:59, 9 to 10 is at the same. Then we had 1 for a couple other ones. So then you can see what some of the results of those referrals were. 3 of them did result in a restraint of a student where we had to assist them physically. 2 were put on a behavior intervention plan, or we followed that, and 2 students were assigned safe.
So the students and staff, when you said he had to go the staff had to go hands-on, you weren't talking about a restraint?
That probably one of them was a restraint. It just was not the initial trigger.
Got it.
That there were other things that then led to the restraint, but it was not the initial incident. When we look at in-school suspension days, we had 1 student that was Black or African American and 1 white student. Both of those students were paid. 1 was special ed, 1 was non-special ed. 1 was EL, 1 was not EL. Both were boys. So today is a lot more interesting when there's more. It's kind of just pretty cut and dry. Yeah. So we had no out of school suspensions. Nobody was suspended 1 or more times. And then, yeah. So, and then there's lots of pretty charts if you like charts better that say the exact same thing that I just said, except for in chart format. So we are thankful that the district has created a system that it now does this all for us. We used to have to make all of this. So at least they have finally figured out how to get it to do it itself. Any questions on data? Yep. Okay, so now we'll move into the super fun budgets. The first item we have is the Munis report. We are spending money. Money is going out. That's about all we can say here. There's nothing too big or too concerning.
We're gonna do a spring,
Book fair? Yes, Read Across America Week.
February 26th to March 3rd.
and Joseph, I've been doing, no.
But next year we're doing literary, which is not scholastic. I'm going with somebody else.
So we're just spending money. Nothing too big is jumping out here. When we look at our school activity fund accounts, which is several pages back, money comes in, money goes out. I am expecting a check from the after school program sometime soon. I have no idea how much that will be, or what it'll entail.
Is there an agreement with them that they will provide this amount, like what?
We get, it's 50% profit sharing.
Okay,
So
like
what
that's in,
happened
on.
It is,
yeah.
I signed a contract that says,
Contract
mhm,
with it.
says 50% profit shares. So then that's,
First 22 years I worked here.
yeah.
Sunday, chaos for that.
I've not been able to find any sort of contract from those other years. So that was part of the reason we didn't go with Parks and Rec, because Parks and Rec could only offer about $5,000 because their profit margin is not as severe as the YMCA. That's why I freak out every time the YMCA gets 25,000 boxes in the front office, because I know that's cutting into profits. So because every time they order snacks or order this, all I see is dollars. So So that is coming. I did officially receive word that we did get the Title I ESSER money, the ARP money that we had been promised last year when we got kicked out of Title I. They finally figured out how to make it work because they had said it to us all, but then they didn't actually write it down or put it into the budget. So they had to do all of that. We did not get Title I for next year, so we do not get that $100,000, which it's going to be interesting what schools get because Dunbar is now a Title I school and you get a per pupil allocation. So they have 890 students that will be receiving funding from Title I.
Wow.
So it's the dollar amount, you get a cut dollar amount per student and they are now in. So it's gonna be interesting for everybody.
Well, I might have a new fancy box.
Yeah. So, so that's where, so financially, we are in a good state. We're continuing to work through that and finalize everything. Okay, next moving into bylaw or policy reports and reviews. We don't have any committee reports. So the first policy here is the writing policy. I did assign this to the curriculum committee. They have not had a chance to meet yet, so they're still reviewing it. The only revision that I found is to strike the word Common Core and just get rid of any, just whatever, just leave it as state standards for writing. Whatever they choose to call the state standards for writing, that's what we're going to follow. So if everyone wants to take a second just to review this, that's the only change that I was recommending. Curriculum committee may still have some as well. It is from a long time ago.
This
This was a knockdown drag out.
Yeah.
There's a typo.
No,
Yeah.
where's,
Where quotation writing to learn, just need another alpha will.
no.
I'm just not sure it needs that many detail under like the examples. Like, I don't know. Do we need to be quite so?
Is that the typo? I thought I see that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with striking those examples if we don't feel like they're necessary in here.
You know what I mean? Like it doesn't need to.
Maybe not for the teachers, but when you have non-teachers on council and it's more explicit and you have the teachers as well, maybe that's, I don't know.
Those items are used sporadically throughout the building. So there's not a consistent, like, we're gonna all collectively use,
Like they're
blank.
used to it, like, that's where you ended up with like a, like, that's where it becomes a problem when you're saying, well, you know.
Then I would take it out.
You mean the example?
Do you know what I mean? Remember when we had that whole list?
People
and you
get
were like,
stuck
people are
on
like.
those.
I can only do these
Yeah.
items because it's all that's listed in the policy.
Unless you say not.
And then,
limited
like,
to this,
Are
which
they
is
called
adding
extended
on
response
to it.
anymore? Like, this is where it gets into all those terminologies that they keep changing. And
Mhm.
then you've got like old length, like the way it says Common Core, the same way it says over here, like entrance and exit. Well, maybe that's now become like a, you know, bell ringer or a, you know, like they keep changing the name of everything. I don't know.
I mean,
Well, maybe
interchange,
this
you will
is
see
just
open
send it to the
response as
curriculum.
well.
I mean, obviously
Committee,
the
like,
committee needs to look at it, but I, you know what I
rewrite-
mean? I just think.
I don't think you wanna strike it totally. I think you wanna go and put what today's expectations are.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, it is writing to learn, writing to demonstrate learning, writing publication, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's, they're there, it's just, then you're quantifying and you know, you're putting in. Like this feature article, nobody does that anymore, and brochure,
So I'm just making a note in
Like-
here.
you're just getting like weird old language that's like not used.
That I'm just gonna say update to reflect current practices. So that they can look at that and recommend revisions. On that, on all the example items.
'cause the old version of this was so wordy.
Mhm.
So,
So we'll have the curriculum committee look at that. So if there's any, as you read through it, if there's like, hey, we need to fix this, they meet in a couple weeks, to review. So that'll come back next month.
I just think these policies need to be,
Easy to follow.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, and relevant and not needing to be updated every 15 minutes.
Yes.
I mean, could you do a link to like the state standard of writing?
Mhm.
And like, and somebody can go through all of that instead of, anyway, that's just a suggestion.
Yeah, I can turn this into a hyper. I will do that. I'm gonna just make a note. Add
Because
hyperlink.
in fact, you might be able to take out everything, because all of it would then be.
Yeah. Yeah. Because yeah, we're required by law to have a writing policy, but the
Yes.
law says you must teach the standards. So. Gotta love it. Yep. Okay, so the next policy is the parents and family engagement policy. I sent this to the PTA and our family community liaison. Family community liaison came back with, hey, looks good. I did look through the state policy and just add in this section here about that parent and family engagement doesn't have to just be coming into the building and doing things here. It can be you being involved in talking with your kids, reading together, just so that the families that aren't able to come in have this ability to be engaged and we can push this and promote this.
I mean, staying up to date on Dojo, reading that, that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
perfectly appropriate engagement.
I was
You
about,
don't-
yeah.
Yeah, so we can add that, like, just don't ask me if anything makes sense. This whole policy is the most convoluted. This policy feels like things were just randomly taken out and things were randomly thrown back in. So if there are, I am not a good editor.
I'm just struggling.
Which one?
Proficiency levels students. It's like there needs to be like a comma or something. Proficiency levels that students are expected.
Top
to
of
meet,
page 3.
And then like these
as well as
examples,
those established.
why are those there?
Insert
Maybe that.
page numbers. Helen, you're not telling me to do the page numbers.
I think proficiency levels where or proficiency levels that. students
This
are
like
expected.
bulleted list, I don't like that either.
So is anybody willing to kind of like take a deep dive into this policy and just like, because I am not
You mean the one for this particular
the
one?
parent,
or-
yeah, the parent and family engagement one.
What's a PTA for?
You never go back to us on that.
It was reason.
Yeah,
They want-
that.
I thought it was fine.
The PTA, I didn't hear back from. So I plan to bring this up during the general meeting on Tuesday and ask people to review. And we can possibly have them get a task force together to
I feel like
look
we
at
should add
this.
the face committee, 'cause that's a whole part of this.
Yes.
right? So that should probably be in.
Yes, like, so this is just because where Title I came out, there were components from Title I last year that we removed, like, it is just,
Yeah.
this is my least favorite policy that we have because it is so bouncing and I don't
But
even know
honestly,
where
I
my,
thought that little like,
that was the compact.
right, but that has like more. Like what,
Specific things.
yeah,
on
it's more like what, I don't know, this is very like.
All over the place.
Uh-huh.
So could we look at the compact and see if
Like, I think
We
someone
could.
tried to marry those two documents, but it's really not working.
Yeah,
Because the language, like the. Put this in Grammarly and.
I do.
Be like, it's gonna come up and be like, what is this? This is gonna.
We don't have homeroom leaders. We
Well,
don't have
that's coming.
leaders. We don't have, oh, good.
It's kind of coming. It's being worked on.
Okay.
Like, that's on my to-do list.
This says the school newsletter, like we really use Dojo, like, you know what I mean? Like, this is sort of like.
Yeah, this is neat. I think that, bringing it up on Tuesday is probably our best bet to
Okay.
see if we can. So like, I'm happy to look at it
Okay,
and bring my, any, to consider whatever.
awesome. So I'll plan to bring this up on Tuesday.
Like, I mean, like teachers will schedule at least two, well, why not like family, like the, you know, it
Yeah.
should be written like, it should be a collective schedule, not like, I am scheduling.
Yeah.
Like, it shouldn't be.
Okay, so everybody has to review this one and give good.
So I'll feedback.
But different. all
Yes.
different.
All different. Everybody needs to give me a different form of feedback on this so that we can, like, yeah, it is just,
It's a lot.
it's a lot, and this is such an important component, but it's so, I don't want it to be like, I would love for this to be like, this is the PTA's responsibilities. This is the school's responsibilities. This is the FACE team's like, and really clearly define who,
Like, why is it telling what
PTA
happens at a conference?
responsibilities and
That doesn't,
yes,
like, why are we have what happens at a conference? That is not part of it.
because that was in there.
No, I think you're right. I think that that's a really good approach. We talked about
Uh-huh.
that being something important moving forward.
Yes.
We'll look at it.
So we'll bring this up on Tuesday. I'm gonna send it to Ebony to include on the agenda for us. So, okay. So next item, enrollment updates. This will be really quick. You have it in your packets. We have enrolled about 15 new kids since December. However, they're also leaving. So our enrollment also is not like we're going up, but we're not going up. Positive news, we did see a lot of international students, which we have not seen in the last several years since the pandemic. So we've seen that increase. So as of right now,
UK must be bringing people.
they are like, and I'm getting emails left
Which
and
is
right.
something to look out for when school starts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're at 429. Second grade's busting at 90 and kindergarten's popping at 63. So,
But that's only,
and I mean, third and fourth are at 65 and fifth is 68. So I mean,
the third and fourth. I know. How many teachers are in third and fourth?
everywhere there's 4 except for fifth grade.
Okay. And, okay.
So our class sizes right now are very, very small as we look through that. The next item is an attendance update.
Oh,
That's, you got a little graph. You will see that attendance has been a struggle bus. No. So no, it's just across the board. I mean, we have struggled consistently since the start of the second quarter.
I have a question. Is it that like kids left and then haven't told you? So like, are there kids that moved and?
We have a
been here for
couple.
a month?
We have a couple that haven't enrolled anywhere. Yes.
Okay.
But for the
Or is
bulk,
it all different?
it's all different. There's been a ton of illness. It had I mean, we sent, I think, 5 kids home today with a stomach bug. We had a kid get sick on the bus, going home today. Like, there's pink eye. It is
you don't have to leave with people.
you do
I
not.
do another-
Uh-huh.
You can stay.
Uh-huh.
Whichever. My daughter had a lot of missing, but then I was like, I haven't really told her, but are sicknesses like counted in that overall?
Yeah.
They're
Yes, that number just is,
really high, but then I was like, oh, I think she's been sick.
yeah. That the number on the report card is literally just the total number of days missed
Okay.
over the 9 weeks. Yes.
Oh, I
Count the number of days
Throw
after the
that
full
right
class,
It,
like, rather than the opposite. I mean,
Come in
it's
and
just,
remember,
yeah.
you got the coffee, but you
yeah,
get-
like, I mean, when we look at, I mean, the Thanksgiving week was atrocious, 87%. We only had 87% of our kids because it was 2 days. And again, next year we have 2 of those, right? We have 3 because we have Thanksgiving, before Christmas, after Christmas.
Yeah.
So, but we never recovered after then.
But I'm wondering if like a couple kids left. 'cause
We had
that
a,
Made a difference of 95 and 94.9.
yes, like I can
Yeah.
tell you, last week, this 94, if the students had enrolled in somewhere, that would have been 95. Like,
Okay.
but there are kids that are just, and we're not legally allowed to unenroll them
Do you just have to have written?
Is this a full day or? are you
Like,
just
do you-
percent-
This is just percentage of average daily attendance.
Alabama?
They have to enroll in a school.
And that school is like, yes, they are. enrolled.
They have to contact us for the records request.
And they don't come
And
off
if
your
it's
roll.
taken
till
a
then.
while, can we?
We
find
call, we do clear reports, we do home visits, we had a student that went to another school that just didn't enroll for 3 weeks. Like, and we had to get, they moved to another district, we had to get that district's Office of Pupil Personnel involved, they did home visits, like, we do everything in our power to,
How long does it have to be before the law becomes? I mean, like, they involve the courts and stuff.
A lot.
it's when you become truant. Which truant is 10 days, but then after 10 days, you have to get an official warning, either hand or certified mail, and then you have to come in.
Letters don't do- I mean, yeah, I get. truth letters.
And right now, we don't have a judge in Fayette County who will take up truancy cases. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, they don't do what?
They won't, there's no
judge.
judge that will accept a truancy case right now. They just don't, they don't have time.
Worth their time.
Uh-huh. So unless you have a judge who will take the case up, you're so
Some of them,
We can
remember a
call
couple years ago,
CPS,
there
but
was
that's it.
somebody who would take educational neglect.
yeah, like we can call protective services and do an educational neglect. But
But
Even that is.
they're hurting even more than the courts are hurting for people. So,
okay, and the intern-
I think a lot of the sleeping in.
mhm. Yes,
Okay, I would like to sleep in too.
yes.
Those are the ones that get.
So,
That happens?
uh-huh,
Oh my God, oh, baby.
yeah.
That's a once an occasion, but I get ones who's struggling. I'm like, why are you like?
I get them every day, late every day.
Okay.
To change the starting time here, they won't.
They're not.
No, it's a busing issue.
But why are we
Backwards,
stuck
no,
with
but-
it for all this time?
Yeah,
Flip high school and you can just flip
They
it.
could
off.
switch it and give it to another school and let us have something that kind of decent.
yeah. Cassidy won't switch. They're the only ones that we could switch with.
Well, they could do it by lottery every 5 years or something.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Oh, do our buses go straight to Kathy?
They don't, but like they do like
They
the,
can't do all the elementary schools at the same.
Yeah.
Right.
so. Okay, so now for the fun, that will be the next time. We're going to talk about staffing. The reason, so typically we do not start this early. The reason we are starting this early is because the district has moved up their staffing allocation day that we will get that from March 1st to February 1st. So they pulled our data on January 10th. So what you see here is not the official district. None of this is official. This is what I pulled on January 10th. So this is what I believe will everything. The second item up here, January 13th, Title I eligibility notification. No, we did not get that. So February 1st, we will receive our official staffing allocation. That is a whole month earlier. Okay. We will make our decision, our official decision on March 21st. That will be that's our regular scheduled SBDM meeting. I'm hopeful that we can make it to that point. The district schedules my exit meeting, so I'm kind of at their mercy. If they schedule me for the 20th or the 21st, we'll have to have a special called meeting earlier so that I can make our exit meeting. But on March 21st, that will be our official full meeting where we will do that. So we still have the whole time. I am not planning to roll staffing out to staff on February 1st. We're going to wait a little bit because as soon as we start talking about staffing, people clench up, it gets tense. So we're not going to delay it forever, but we're just not going to roll right on February 1st. So I will send you guys, the council, what our allocation is on February 1st, just so you know, once I receive that. But that's roughly when it's going to happen. So I've done most of this number crunching. Just wait, it's coming.
Oh, look.
You you can breathe.
I was like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm surviving
It's,
by four and by
it's
three.
right there. So,
You feel better when I'm writing you. I'm like, I used to do the little line.
see,
You put the 3 before the 4. I did the 4.
so another change this year coming up is there's going to be an additional data pull on April 14th, where they're going to re-pull our data. If you haven't heard, they moved back the magnet acceptance window to right now. So because of that, typically we would know which kids were going to magnet programs already. With that window not closing for another week, we won't know until spring break if those kids get in. So we will have done all of our staffing thinking kids are going to stay. Now, if a kid were to choose to move to a different school for a magnet program, they may adjust our enrollment and our staffing allocation after April 14th. Okay. Job postings will be April 15th. I have to turn in our Section 6 budget on May 30th. That'll be a ways from now. This is the other significant change. In the past, they have used a day 4 count. We are moving to day 10. So we will not find out about whether we get additional staffing or lose staffing until after August 31st.
So they're not making people lose.
They are. We will be held harmless for one certified position throughout this entire process. One. Classified is not held harmless this year. So if we don't have the staffing to keep classified, we're going to have to come up with the funding ourselves, or people will be involuntary transferred. No one at this point will lose a job on day 10, but they may be transferred to another school at that
I
point.
don't know how this works. How does the school apply for a program, for a magnet?
That's what I'm working on, is how do we get something like that? We were a global studies school. The issue that they have now in Fayette County will never go back to approving a global studies again, because the big push right now is we're diverse everywhere. Everywhere is, you can get global experiences everywhere. So it goes against their mantra.
Unless you go to the baccalaureate
Yeah.
program, which is
No, we're not doing that.
So,
I'm sorry, we've already jumped on that bandwagon and it was,
looked at
it was vehemently opposed.
so that's where we kind of stand with the timeline. But yes, I'm looking into how it can we, I do kind of get offended by the district that they put all this time and money into these magnet programs, and like they all got professionally made videos promoting their schools. We didn't get that. Like, so they got called out at the Unity breakfast on yesterday morning. Like, I'm like, awesome. Like, so you're pulling them from our schools to go to other schools. It's great, but it's
And our teachers have done the work to make those students eligible for those
Uh-huh.
programs. And they're getting nothing.
so, okay. So now we're going to roll through projections.
I have
Okay.
a question.
Yes.
Is it hard for people to like pick this school? Like, can you transfer?
They will not do out of area.
No.
Fayette County is not doing any out of areas.
So they don't approve it, because in
Uh-huh.
their things it says you can.
You can apply. You don't get it unless there's an extenuating circumstance.
Your teacher.
Yes.
So now, they're still being strict on if you move, if your parents move, I should say,
Blessing?
the child must leave.
They will always approve out of area for a kid that has
That's
moved.
already.
Like if they're here, they will approve out of area for the remainder of the year, for the remaining of that year. Yes.
Are they doing
And
the
that's
fifth
it.
grader?
Fifth grade is still always approved. So if you're an
Okay,
incoming
the
fifth
letter
grader,
that mine had said that
it
they-
always says it's end of year. And then they have to reapply each summer to re-get in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Is it the transportation? If
Yes.
You waive it?
Nope.
You can't waive the.
No.
Yeah, if I had to.
So when we were at Global Studies,
Yeah.
there was a bus that went to Andover
mhm,
and picked up kids.
yes.
We had an.
That's
An-
the-
like, it
with the
was an
magnet programs, they
Andover
get
bus
bused.
That was a stop in Andover.
I
Mhm.
think it's also just too chaotic. If you're granting that many out of areas, one year maybe you'll get 30 out of areas, the next year you only get 2. And like, that's really hard for staffing to constantly be changing when people want to keep moving.
There used to be someone downtown.
But I mean,
who
that's. the
would
There
problem
send
is.
with
people
the
here.
magnet programs, because they're just ripping kids out.
mhm,
I mean, that's what's happening
Right.
anyway, to stop.
yes. Yep. So, yep, it's unfortunate, and that's what we're trying to combat, and trying to get as many kids here and keep them here. So that's a big push right now to,
I saw 2 houses pop up on Zillow, maybe.
okay, so these are our projections. So all I've done here.
Building.
Oh.
We should put it on our website.
Yeah. So first through fifth grade is typically just a roll forward of our current enrollment. So when you see here, first grade 63, that's because kindergarten has 63. The one big question mark here is this kindergarten.
Yeah.
Last year, they projected us at this 85. That's where I got that number from. And we all ended up with 63. So I don't know what they're going to project us at with that. So based on that, you can see here the cap sizes, how many kids we can have in each class. Kindergarten through third grade is 24, fourth grade is 28, fifth grade is 29. If it's 3 teachers and then 4 teachers, everybody can have be below cap at 4 teachers. We can fit 3 teachers at first grade, fourth grade, and fifth grade. They can all be below cap decently, significantly at 3 teachers. So we'll have to make a decision as we move into this. Do we prioritize class sizes, or do we prioritize or lower class sizes or other aspects? So what I have done is I've taken my projections and I've run them through the formulas of kind of what I know is coming. So don't freak out at this page where you see the teachers lost. Don't freak out, because we can recoup some of those back. So on February 1st, we get allocated at 95%. So they only give us 95% of our students. That's always how it's been. So currently we have 4 kindergarten teachers. I'm projecting that on February 1st, we will get 3.5. That number is the one that's the most in flux, because that's going to come down to what is that allocation. If they allocate us at 60, that number is going to come way down. If they allocate us at 90, it's going to go up. It's really just depending on what that number comes in. Primary teachers, we have 12. I'm projecting we're going to get 9.5. Intermediate, we have 7. I'm projecting we're going to get 4.5. Now, I am not saying we are going to make it work with 4.5, or we can even have half a teacher. We will make that up in other ways. Discretionary, really, we can just use them in any new way. We have 3, we're going to get 3. Media specialist, we have 1, we're going to get 1. Intervention, we currently have 2. Officially, the district only doesn't give intervention. They don't give intervention positions. So we only have the 0.5 that comes from the RTA grant. And we have to fund that other 0.5. ESL, we currently have 4. The district gave us 2 last year, and we bought 2 more. So I'm projecting that they're only going to give us 2 EL teachers. So if we want more than that, we're going to have to buy that. Additionally, we get a principal, an assistant principal, special ed staff, a Spanish, and a counselor that we aren't allowed to touch. So what that means is, if you take all of the current minus February 1st, that would be 9 positions, 9 teaching positions lost. That's terrifying, but we make a lot of it back when we look at classified. So when we look at classified staff, clerical, we have 2, we will get 2. Early entry para, those are our kindergarten paras. We have 3. I will project that at 3.5, but again, that number is in flux. That one is all dependent on that kindergarten number. Primary paras, we have traditionally cashed this position in. We currently don't have any of those. I project that we'll receive 3.5 of them. Safe, we don't have that. We always get 1. Computer para, we don't have that. We always get 1. And I think they've actually now just merged those into kind of like discretionary paras. So I don't even think it's listed as computer anymore. So the next one is FCL. That's our family community liaison. We currently purchased that from our ESSER grant. So we have 1. We won't be getting that. Additionally, we get a mental health staff, we get FRC, and we get custodians that we don't have any control over. So that means there's a gain of about 5 classified positions, which, if you do the math, it's about 2 classified for 1 certified. So we would roughly get back 2.5 certified positions. So what does that mean? We summarize certified staff losing 9, classified staff gaining 5, but converting that to the 2.5 certified. Again, we are getting the ESSER money, that ARP money, which I believe should cover 1 certified. I have a question into her to make sure that we can actually use it for staffing. So hopefully she comes back and says yes, because if not, that's a whole nother position. Then we also have our supplemental duty funds, which is our point. We could use that for 0.2. So if we were to cash all of that stuff in, at a minimum, I'm projecting us somewhere in this range. If we keep our kindergarten paras at what we have right now with 3, we will be losing 5.3 certified positions. If we cut all of our kindergarten paras, which I'm not saying that that's what we have to do, I'm just giving you the extremes. If we cut them all, we would be losing 4.05 certified staff. So there is a lot of unfortunateness here. We knew it was coming.
But how does that work? 5.3, like obviously you're not losing 0.3 per person, like, so are you losing 6
It's-
human beings?
Yes,
If it says 5.3, you're losing 6 human
Yes.
beings.
unless we can find the funding for that 0.3 to keep it. So, and like the 4.05, my recommendation would be to pull funds from wherever to make it so it's only 4. And like the 5, I would recommend we just work things so that we can adjust that. So from here, you also have the timeline of just kind of where we go from here, how it's going. When I do receive the official allocation, I will send that to you, so you have it. We won't have an official meeting until our normal February meeting. I will share it with the faculty prior to that February meeting, and we will be beginning to do that work. But I'm gonna wait a little bit, let people stay calm for a little bit. So, any questions on staffing? Okay. And I apologize if your pages are messed
I know
up.
that sometimes in the previous years, they've always used like the current kindergarten numbers to do the projection for the next year, which that would be sad if that's what they do. Do they have another source of information about numbers regarding that particular district that we don't know about?
I may have just copied it multiple times. They use the census and like preschool data. So they don't pull from this, like they're looking at records of who has what age kids, birth records,
Things like that.
and running a whole formula. So it is a lot more connected. And with that, like to try and keep our kindergarten number up, we are hosting a kindergarten recruitment night at the end of February, where we're inviting all the kids at all the local daycares and preschools to come tour Glendover, meet some of the teachers, hear from the PTA, hear from the Y, and we're really gonna sell. Honestly,
Give them candy.
why are we better? Like we're making a comparison document. Here's what we have. Here's what LCA has. Here's what we have. Here's what Christ the King has. Here's what we have. Here's what this school has. Like to very clearly say, this is everything we're going to offer, and try it.
I've already told some parents in the car line.
Yeah.
It's coming.
So that's our goal, is to really try and
Are we going to St.
I'll
Michael's?
get a gift bag. or something.
Uh-huh.
Handing things out?
yes, like we're doing flyers at every preschool, every daycare. I'm working actively on a list of every single one in the area, and just trying to find children.
Find a kid.
So we're going to go to all the apartment complexes and post it on everywhere and just really try and get them in here before they choose something else. So, but which is why I wish we would be able to be promoted like the magnet programs, because we're just as good as the magnet programs. So, okay, so now we're moving on. And yes, I apologize. I don't know what the printer was doing or what I was doing. So you probably have 2 of them. Just
Okay.
throw them away.
Okay.
Okay, so moving on, item D, Ms. Gherkin want to talk about crossing guards and just share some things there, and so we can work through that.
So the last day of school in December before break, the crossing guard told me she was going to be on vacation.
Okay,
So I just did a little, I don't know, observation. And no one filled in for the last 2 weeks
okay,
on crossing guard on that corner. And then my kids, told me she was there today, because I had to take Gigi to the orthodontist, and I was like, Oliver, you have to walk the twins home and you have to look, but then she was there today.
okay,
So she indeed was on
okay.
vacation, and, I was just curious, like, who covers that, or like, what, should I have reported it the first day? And like, I can't imagine if somebody didn't show up at that other corner,
Yeah,
like, how that would work, so I'm just,
yeah, all, cause on,
where
yeah,
is this in our protocol of things? Cause like, there's probably like 10 kids that go that way.
Right.
And 4 of them are mine, so
yeah.
we're concerned about it.
If you ever see it, let me know, like,
Okay.
so that we can, cause then we can at least push one of our staff out there to
Okay,
like check for a couple days. Cause unfortunately it's run through the law enforcement at the city level. Like, it's
Okay.
not
I mean,
even,
all like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Should I just call the like, what is it, 811?
yeah, like, yeah, and just, I would just report it's,
Yeah,
For the
whatever.
cities,
Yeah.
311.
Okay.
yeah, but yeah, it's through, because they're the ones who hire for it
Yeah.
and do it. It's through the,
Actually allowed to be on vacation.
Right.
And it's not her. But like.
yes,
She knew, and like I.
Are you talking this
told
corner or
them,
that?
this
corner?
one,
That
The
corner?
Glendover,
Glendover, and yeah,
and then. This is kind of separate,
Uh-huh.
but the car line driveway.
uh-huh,
Is crazy, and I know like you're doing the numbers, but. I don't know. It's like to put another person there, cause like I don't always come down to cross the kids at the car line.
Uh-huh. yeah,
And like there have been cars that haven't stopped when I'm there, and I'm like, stop. So,
yeah,
cause they're like late or like on their phone, I don't.
yeah. We can look and see if we can have any staff that we can assign there.
Cause we'll walk this way too, but then we have to cross that driveway.
Uh-huh.
And then we have to cross the driveway to. go,
Yes,
So,
yeah, it's not ideal, no matter where we are, so,
yeah,
but yeah, so we'll look and see if we can have staff.
like not a different way to do it.
Uh-huh.
Like that.
Yeah, cause I,
Like I usually try to come, they've only walked home like 4 times, so and it's like that,
yes,
the whole thing.
yes, but yeah, and I'll follow up with the city on crossing guards and just like,
Yeah, I mean, I will call every single time. if she's not there.
Yeah.
It's fine. Okay. I'll
yeah,
do that.
blow us up, blow the city up, and I mean, unfortunately with the city, squeaky wheel gets the oil, it gets taken care of, and so,
Okay,
yeah, it's where it's a, and I would personally, I think it, I mean, we have a bunch of kids that go that way, but they put in a new crossing guard over here. But sometimes we need it over here more, so,
yeah.
Yep. she directs traffic, so, okay,
One time I had to help them cross, because I saw what was happening and I pulled my car over. There was like one time that person wasn't there.
uh-huh,
And I was like, I have to do this. And I totally did like the whole thing, and I made my kids stand, but that was like before COVID.
yes.
Cause it's scary.
It is, yeah, and it's unfortunate, yeah, and it would be nice if it was Fayette County people, where it's
Yeah,
the city,
so
it's, right,
So, yeah. Okay, now I will call.
Yep.
You know, everything.
Yep.
I just feel like.
Yep.
There was a week where I think I emailed you every
Uh-huh.
day, like, no, still not
yep, not here yet,
Okay, I'll do that.
Yep. just, yeah, contact me at any point, we'll, I'll go stand on a corner,
Or call the police.
What's what I was like, do I need to?
My
be
kids
like-
hate it and they're like, Mom, don't call the police. I'm like, what are the police for?
yeah. Yep, I'll call Fayette County law enforcement and be like, hey, we got a message,
County should cover it.
yeah,
If
Oh,
they're-
she knew she
But
was
we
on
don't even have an
vacation,
officer
so
here
I
at
was
the
like,
school.
They
so-
probably didn't even think anything of it, which is sad.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, that's what, like, I'm sure she told
Until
them.
something-
yes,
you know,
oh, yeah, because I mean, they have to report, and
well, 10 minutes before, like, I get that.
yes,
Like,
for 2 weeks, I mean, that's the,
yeah.
yes,
um,
yes,
Oh, maybe they can't find anybody to take them.
probably,
Then they
officers.
call
Uh-huh.
the police officer.
Yeah.
yes,
I just don't call the police. They're like, hello.
I'll- February.
yes. So, So next, moving up, agenda items for next month. These are our last three policies. Dress code policy, emergency plan, which I will tell you what the emergency plan policy says. The emergency plan policy says we have an emergency plan, we will follow it. And then the curriculum policy. So those are three policies for us to review for next month. An item just to keep in mind with dress code is, do we want to better clarify smartwatches? We had a lot of kids get smartwatches starting at the kindergarten level. And like when we had severe weather, we had a lot of parents texting and calling. So
Okay, I have a question. What
Uh-huh.
is the cell phone policy?
yes, so it is a district policy.
Okay, I mean, I don't know.
That it just says that they will be away, and if they're not, they'll be
Yeah, 'cause
so
I think any
Well, and I
watches
get,
that
my
make
dad
phone
just
calls
sent me a
are like-
message that.
They are.
Talk to him. I'm like,
yes.
what?
So we just may need to think about better how we want to clarify that within here. So as you kind of review, just thinking through that, because I mean, literally with when we were in the severe weather, watches were going off left and right, all down primary hallway, intermediate hallway, everywhere. The second I posted on Dojo that we were in severe weather, people were
The thing
calling.
is, I think their
I
Fitbit
would
is
say I
fine,
saw
but they're
loud enough.
interactive and they're clicking and they're.
Well, I'm the person who totally forgot I had children until my daycare message and said, oh yeah, the kids were fine.
Oh, did you? That was a really long drill. Like, you had no idea.
My son was
Yeah.
asleep on the 5th floor of a dorm in UK. I was like.
Well, mine were at home and I called and I said, get your sister up and go in the basement. And no, he said she got up, walked to the basement, got on the couch.
What are you saying?
Yeah.
I was there going.
Yeah.
I guess Oliver and the boys were all in the same hallway.
Uh-huh.
They had fun.
Yeah. So we'll just review those. So at this time, we are at the adjournment section of our agenda. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Ms. Hobbs. Is there a second?
Yeah.
Second by Ms. Lane. All in favor of adjourning our meeting at 6:25, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We are officially adjourned at 6:25. Thank you if you visit us with us at home. We hope that you have a great night.